We're accustomed to Oklahoma being a major player in the NFL draft. This year, the selections may be few and far between. We bring in Matt Hofeld of Crimson and Cream Machine, our Oklahoma contact, to set us straight with the Sooners. And Matt, thanks so much for joining us as always. Let's start with the guy that you think is the clear front runner for being selected on day one of the NFL draft, and that's defensive tackle Jordan Phillips. I see him here with 7 tackles for loss and a couple sacks last season.
Yeah, if Oklahoma has a guy that goes in the first round, it's going to be Jordan Phillips. And I think worst case scenario for Phillips is that he's a early second round guy that's going to go, find his home on Friday. But I think there's a good chance you'll hear his name called Thursday night. You talked about his tackles for loss. He's a guy that had a career season last year. He's a true nose guard that'll excel in a 3-4 defense. He has the agility and the ability to move over into a 4-3 scheme, but he's really a guy that if he's going to find a home as a potential all-pro candidate in the NFL, it's going to be as a true nose guard in a 3-4 scheme. A massive of a man, 6'5", 329 pounds, but at that size, he's freakishly athletic. He's got good speed sideline to sideline. He's going to make somebody happy, and I think he's going to make himself a lot of money as well.
So after Jordan Phillips, we basically are looking at 2 players on defense who are extremely versatile in Julian Wilson and especially Geno Grissom, based on where he was able to move around both offensively and defensively during his collegiate career. So can you set us straight on how those 2 guys may project to the NFL?
Yeah, both of those guys are guys who really kind of never really had a home on Oklahoma's defense. Julian Wilson played corner in high school, was drafted, was recruited to Oklahoma to come as a safety, really kind of played nickelbacks, played the safety position. And then last year, for his senior year, they moved him back to corner, a position that's more of a natural fit for him. I don't know that he's a guy that you're going to see get drafted. I think there's a good chance he's going to sign on with somebody as an undrafted free agent. And even at that, he's athletic enough that he can be, a guy that can make a difference on special teams. And when you're an undrafted free agent, that's where you got to start. You got to make your mark on special teams. Wilson's a guy that a lot of people will remember from the Tennessee game, had a 100-yard interception return when the Volunteers were driving. He picked it off in the end zone and ran it all the way back for a score. That was kind of his marquee play of his senior year, and a little bit of flash of what he can do athletically. But still, I think he's just a guy he's going to have some work because he moved around so much. Another guy that you mentioned, Geno Grissom, again, he didn't really ever find a home. He has the size of a defensive end. He has the speed of a linebacker. So much so that when Oklahoma, his athleticism is so much so that when Oklahoma was struggling to find somebody at the tight end position, they moved Geno from offense to defense to let him, backwards, from defense to offense to play tight end. And again, he was freakishly athletic and looked good in a position. I remember talking to the Oklahoma play-by-play guy, Toby Rowland, about that transition, moving him over to tight end. And Toby actually said, I don't know if there's a position on the field that he can't play on defense or a skill position on offense. And so he's a guy, I think, because of his athleticism, because of his versatility, he's going to go probably as a late-round pick. I think someone's going to take a chance on him.
Man, as you well know, for NFL draft nicks, they don't care position. They don't care star status at the collegiate level. They care about measurables. They care about productivity and how people project to the next level. For college football fans, one of the more recognizable names in the last few years for Oklahoma football is, of course, Blake Bell, because of the position he played at quarterback.
Right.
Had to make that transition to tight end. Your thoughts about Blake Bell's progression as a tight end last season and how he may play in the NFL?
Well, his best shot in the NFL is as a tight end. He's got a tight end frame. He's 6'6". He's over 250 pounds, pushing 260, maybe even be over that by the time he lands somewhere and they beef him up NFL caliber size. I think, again, you look at his athleticism. He did some things that really guys haven't done. He beat Notre Dame as the quarterback. In 2013, he engineered the great comeback drive to beat Bedlam that same year, all the while being really a backup quarterback. Those are some things that he was able to do. I think he's ultimate sacrifice to the team. But his best shot in the NFL was to be as a tight end. And I think again, he's a guy that someone's going to take a shot on him late round because of his size, because of his agility. He only caught 16 passes last year, but 4 of those went for downs. And so he's a guy that he's going to have to work on his route running a little bit. He's still a little bit raw, but those guys that have true potential but are still raw are some of the guys that they're going to be looking at in those late round picks. I think Blake's a guy that you can see his name called on the final day.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Matt, at the conclusion of a collegiate career, how there are some guys who were star, very recognizable names because, of course, the position in the school and what he was able to do, speaking of Blake Bell, but they become just another guy among hundreds. And then other guys from small schools suddenly become very prized recruits, per se, for NFL teams because of the measurables, despite playing in a small conference, small school, that sort of thing. You also have 3 offensive linemen who could factor into the mix Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. We've got Darryl Williams and Tyrus Thompson included. So these offensive linemen, if you can kind of run through their careers and how they may make the move to the NFL.
Yeah, I think the guy who's going to grade out the best here in this group is Darryl Williams. I think he'll probably be the first one to go. But really, I think the guy who has the best potential is going to be a guy, Adam Shedd. And I say that just based on what he showed flashes of, but because of injuries and health reasons, he never really, I don't think he ever reached his full potential at Oklahoma. He's a guy that can really get downfield and blocking on running plays. He's a guy that has really good technique. And I think he's a guy that also is going to get drafted. I think all these guys are going to be late round guys. The one guy that may be looking as an undrafted free agent would be Tyrus Thompson. I wouldn't be surprised to see his name go either way. You look at some of these guys and you think, yeah, I'll be surprised if he gets drafted, or I would be shocked if he doesn't get drafted. Tyrus Thompson is one of those guys that I wouldn't be surprised either way. He's got the potential, he's got the size, he's got the body to really go out and be as early as a 4th or a 5th round pick. But then on the same note, he's one of those guys that like you mentioned earlier, he becomes one of dozens of guys that are going to try to make a career in the NFL at the offensive line position. And he may have to do that as an undrafted free agent. But all 3 of those guys, I think, are going to be on someone's roster as we go into the summer, either drafted or undrafted free agent. But I think the 2 names out of that trio to really look for in this draft are going to be Darryl Williams and Adam Shedd. Not to slow body at all, but I think Thompson's been making.
Matt Hofeld joins us from Crimson and Cream Machine on the SB Nation platform for Oklahoma Athletics. Does a tremendous job there, and we are able to track him down every so often to run down some Oklahoma personnel. Matt, we always appreciate it.
You bet, Mark, and we'll get back together soon.